Hello, everyone, and welcome to Public Speaking, COJO 2010. My name is Ryan DeVries, and I will be your instructor for this course. So what we're going to do today is go through the syllabus in a little bit more depth, and I'll give you guys a few tips with this course along the way. But first off, I'd like to address the importance of this class. A lot of students wonder why they have to take public speaking. Well, I'm here to tell you oral and written communications are very important skills that you need not just in academia, but in the real world when you're applying for jobs and when you're within your respective field. So in this class, we will be working on oral and written communication skills, which studies have shown have been the top two skills that employers look for. So very important skills to have. Students may also wonder how public speaking can occur online. In this class, we use a web conferencing program called Zoom. You guys will want to download that here pretty soon. But within that program, there'll be people who tune in, probably about 6 or 7 of you each time. The person who is speaking will appear largest on the screen, and then everyone else will also be tuned in, will appear around the borders of the screen in a little bit smaller fashion. Now, you as a speaker will be able to see your whole audience, and your audience will also be able to see you. So what we're trying to do here is give you guys the closest experience to an actual public speaking class on campus. Okay, a little bit of background on myself first. I am a master's student here in the communication department. I got my bachelor's degree also from UW in the communication department. And I am originally from Cheyenne, Wyoming. Okay, so let's get into the required text you'll need for this course, which I would recommend getting very soon because all of the lectures and readings revolve around these textbooks, which is upcoming up here Monday the 19th. So you'll want to get these immediately. From the bookstore is recommended so you don't have to wait to get it in the mail. They're also fairly cheap books, and I'll go ahead and show you them real quick. So first off, we have this purple textbook right here called A Concise Public Speaking Handbook by Beebe and Beebe. Each chapter ranges from about 8 to 10 pages, and they're fairly concise chapters, so it shouldn't take you long to read through this. It just gets at the basics, so make sure you're keeping up with reading. And then our second book here is called Speaking Out, a public speaking workbook. And with this, you'll have a lot of the different assignments that you'll be doing come right out of this book. So this one's also absolutely necessary to buy, pretty cheap in the UW bookstore, so go ahead and get that. Also, grade sheets will come out of here, a lot of different example outlines that you guys will want to model your outlines off of, so make sure to get that in the next couple of days. Okay, moving on from here, I will go into how online speech days work in a little bit more depth here. So you'll notice here that there are 4 different groups. So there's 24 of you in this course, so that means there'll be 6 of you in each of these groups. You'll want to choose one of these times that work best with your schedule. So if you're working or you're traveling or whatever else, make sure you choose a time that is most convenient for you, that you absolutely can show up during. Okay. So you'll notice group 1 here is from 10 to 11 a.m. Group 2, 12 p.m. to 1 p.m. Group 3, 2 to 3 p.m. And then group 4 is 4 to 5 p.m. So we have a variety of different times to choose from. Choose the one that works best with your schedule. Now, If you choose 10 to 11 a.m. for speech number 1, you'll also be locked into that time for the remainder of the speeches. So for speech number 2, you'll also be from 10 to 11 a.m. Same goes with speech 3 and speech number 4. So you'll know exactly the days and times you'll be speaking. So if you need to get time off work to give your speech, or you just want to do it during your lunch break, whatever works, just make sure that you can show up during that time for all 4 speeches. To sign up for the group, you'll go into the modules tab on WILD courses, and then you'll go into sign up times for speeches. You'll go to that tab, and then you'll be able to sign up for whatever day you want. However, if you choose to sign up, let's say, really late, then you might not get the time you want. So make sure you go in there and sign up for that time that you want early on so you can get that locked down. Okay, let's move on here. So you'll notice that we have speech number 1, December 21st. Keep in mind as we're going along here, some of these dates could change. This is a tentative schedule, but for now, this is pretty close to when speech days and other assignments will be occurring. So you'll notice speech 1 is on December 21st, speech 2, December 26th, speech 3, January 3rd, and then speech 4, January 17th. Notice the groups and the times stay consistent. Something else you'll also want to keep in mind. These times are in Mountain Standard Time. So if you're on the East Coast for a week, make sure you tune in to the correct time, because we are tuning in Mountain Time. Or if you're out of the country, make sure you tune in at the right time. Okay. So as I said, we're going to have 4 different speeches through the course of this term. And we will also have written communication assignments, most of them being outlines that accompany your speeches. Now, these outlines are designed to help you organize your speeches. However, a misconception that students many times have is that these outlines are just short phrases or just bulleted phrases throughout, but that is not the case. Within this course, it's actually 70% of the course revolves around organization and 30% revolves around delivery. So we're really focusing on organization and organizing your thoughts here. So with the outline, I want full sentences that are almost verbatim to your actual speech. I want you to have everything planned out and ready to go. Also, with those outlines, make sure you send it to me before your speaking time. It needs to be before, otherwise you won't receive credit for your outline. Another component of this class is digital communication. For speech number 4, you're going to need to have a PowerPoint or Prezi, something along those lines, to accompany your speech and give your audience a visual. We'll get into that in a little bit more depth as it gets closer. Speech dates. If you miss your speech date, I'm going to have to not give you any credit unless you have a medical or university excuse. So you'll have to send that to me, and then we can figure out another time to reschedule whatever assignment it may be. Grade sheets are located in the workbook that I showed you, the Speaking Out, a public speaking workbook in there. So this provides a rubric for exactly what you'll be graded on. These are also available online. So make sure you're reading through those so you know exactly what I'm expecting of you, and you include every component of your speech. Grading. Okay, so let's get into some of the different assignments here. You'll notice we have our speeches. Introductory speech is a pretty short one, just designed to get you guys comfortable. And then we go into speech number 2 here. a little bit more depth, notice we go up to 100 points here. And that is actually a process speech. He'll walk us through how to do something a little bit longer as well. Speech number 3, also 100 points. And with this, you'll be doing an informative speech on a topic of your choice, also increasing in time and complexity. And then speech number 4, you're putting it all together, and this is actually our persuasive policy speech. And notice this is the largest assignment of the semester, or of the term, excuse me, is speech number 4. And you're putting everything together with this one. Also notice we have a midterm and final exam. You'll take those online. Those are 50 questions, multiple choice, non-cumulative exams. Also notice you will have some critiques. So you'll have one video critique where I'll send you a link to a video, and you will critique this person based on their speaking skills, their organization, things like that. You'll also have one self-critique, and with speech number 2, when we all tune in to the Zoom application, you'll record yourself and be able to refer back to that and see if you're doing something well, or if you maybe need some improvement with organization, delivery, whatever it may be. For a lot of students, this is an eye-opening experience because maybe I will, for speech number 1, give you a critique that says, you don't provide enough gestures, or you don't gesture enough. And then students will be like, oh no, I gesture plenty. And then they'll go and look at this recording and be like, okay, maybe I don't move as much as I thought. You'll also have 3 peer critiques, and those will be associated with speeches 2, 3, and 4. And you will just critique one of your classmates as they are speaking. So you'll notice that there's 5 different critiques, and that's 50 points, 10 points each critique. You'll also have a couple of written assignments. This one is a persuasive speech outline, also known as the fact value outline. That'll be 60 points, just building on stuff from the persuasion unit, and we'll get into that more later on. Then you will have a written memo or proposal memo. This is kind of a real world assignment where you'll get to write a memo. Then you'll also have a library assignment. That's 20 points there. And that's just searching for different sources and evaluating things like the credibility and accuracy of those different sources. Also notice you'll have some chapter quizzes, and this is a biggie. Even though each quiz isn't very many points on its own, altogether it adds up to 220 points, which is roughly 20% of the assignments in this class. So you'll want to be taking those quizzes and keeping up with those. Quizzes are timed. I think they're about 8 to 10 minutes, maybe 8 to 15, somewhere in there. And once you answer a question, you cannot go back to the previous one. So just keep that in mind as you're taking the quizzes. Before each quiz, you'll want to go through the different chapters associated with those quizzes. You'll want to watch the lectures associated with each chapter. With these lectures, I will tell you, a lot of them have different instructors besides me giving those lectures, and that's actually on purpose, so you can be exposed to a variety of different speaking styles and a variety of different examples from these different instructors, so you'll be a more well-rounded public speaking student. Grading in this class, there's no plus-minus system. It's just straight grades, A, B, C, D, and F, based out of 1,022 points. Critiques, I already went through those. Let's go into academic dishonesty. Unfortunately, In the online version, we do run into a little bit of this. However, I'm just here to tell you it's really easy to pick out plagiarized work and just make sure you're not doing it, okay? That can result in some pretty nasty stuff. Presentation etiquette, if you do want to stand up, that would be great. It's actually encouraged. However, not everyone's computer can pick up the speaker's voice very clearly. So sometimes that forces you to just sit in front of the computer where you're a little more close. So either way, you can stand or you can sit, whatever works best for you. Although it is encouraged to stand because that's closest to the public speaking experience that you would get on campus. Also, when you are speaking, make sure all your electronic devices are off, any background noise, anything that could potentially distract your classmates or you, make sure you have everything good to go there. Also, make sure you have a good internet connection and a webcam. Otherwise, this isn't going to work. So make sure you have those. Disabilities, I would recommend going to UDSS if you have any and talk to them. They're located in Knight Hall, room 330, and you can also contact them other ways as well. And they'll communicate with me, and we can make any necessary accommodations there. If you have any questions that I can't answer, then you can talk to Bo Bingham, who is the course director for the online version of public speaking. So there's his email right there. And then if you would like to, here is the tentative course schedule. And I would go through this pretty thoroughly and write all the due dates down because this class, you guys, it moves very fast. We're taking 15 weeks worth of work and putting it in a more condensed fashion, a much more condensed fashion. So make sure you're keeping up with everything. That involves tuning in, well, not tuning in, but reading chapters and watching lectures, completing assignments on the due dates. A lot of the due dates they're actually on the schedule, but they'll be by midnight. For example, for some quizzes, I think I will have everything due by midnight, so you'll have plenty of time. Let's say if you're working through the day, you can go ahead and do that stuff later on. But I will warn you, it moves fast, so make sure you're keeping up. Also, along those lines, when you're completing, let's say, chapters 1 through 3, those will be within Module 1, as it says right here. You'll have to complete all of these assignments before you can go on to the next set of material, which will be Module 2. Keep in mind, all assignments are under the Modules tab in WoW Courses. So click the Modules tab, it'll tell you what the assignments are and when they're due. And of course, if you have any other questions about them, I would reference the lectures, and then also you can email me. Another area I'd like to talk about is for speech day, I would like you guys to dress up a little bit. At least go business casual is what I'm looking for. If you have any questions on that, you can contact me, but I think you guys probably have a good understanding of what business casual is. Okay, also on speech days, I would like you all to tune in about 5 minutes beforehand just to prepare. And if you have any questions outside of this, the best way to contact me is through email. I check my email every day, probably 4 or 5 times a day, and I will respond very quickly. So just email me anytime. I'm up late, up early, up late, up early. So contact me there. I will also include my phone number on the syllabus. So if I'm not responding to you via email, then you can just shoot me a text or whatever. That'll be fine. If that isn't working for you guys and you feel you need to talk to me in person for whatever reason, then we can meet via Zoom. So we can just both tune into Zoom and talk through that. It's pretty much just like Skyping one another, very similar. Okay. So I'm very, very excited for this term, and I hope you guys are as well. There are a few things you need to do before class starts. So I want you guys before Monday to read the syllabus a little more thoroughly. I know I went through a good portion of it, but make sure you're reading through that. You also need to go out to the bookstore and buy both of the books, the Concise Public Speaking Handbook and then also the workbook that we talked about. Those are fairly cheap, so that shouldn't be too bad for you guys. I would also recommend signing up for your group here very soon. And then finally, a couple more things. I want you to download Zoom and play around with this application a little bit so you're familiar with it before speech day. It's really easy. Under the modules tab, it says something about how to download Zoom and become familiar with it. So click on that tab and it'll walk you through the whole process. It's super easy, super user friendly. So make sure you're just familiar with Zoom. And then other than that, I would look through the schedule in depth and make sure you're able to meet deadlines. All right, that's all I have for you guys, and I look forward to an awesome term with you all.